Hey everybody, welcome back to BobkeTV. It's time once again for the broom wagon, and we have a lot of racing to cover. The good, the bad, and the ugly from the early season marches on. This week's races got quite a few of them. A lot of the big stars in full action currently in the professional peloton. Of course, the neutral zone news. If you thought Lance Armstrong's lifetime ban meant a lifetime, you'd be wrong. Lance Armstrong and friends racing again. In the Musette Musings, Michael Berry goes berserk on the Sky Squad, throwing big shade over Team Sky during his tenure with the squadron. And of course, tweet of the week. All of that up next on the broom wagon. All right, let's get right into the racing, the good, the bad, and the ugly. Let's start with the Tour of Oman. The man of the hour, Ben Hermans from the BMC squad, the 30-year-old Belgian rider, had some quality wins in his career, but nothing to this magnitude. 2 stage wins, including the Queen stage, to Green Mountain, getting the better of climbers like Romain Bardet and Fabio Aru. A brilliant win by Ben Hermans, defended well by his BMC squad, one of the best teams on the planet, and an absolutely spectacular ride by Ben Hermans for the week in Oman. His first stage race victory of his career, and it wouldn't surprise me if he got a lot of high-quality wins this year. He's been on BMC since 2014, and before that on Leopard Trek, and he's always had a lot of talent, and finally putting it all together. And I think we'll see some more fireworks from Ben Hermans throughout the year. He has had in his career a one-day semi-classic win in Belgium. So it wouldn't surprise me if he was in the mix at Tour of Flanders, E3 Harelbeke, Omloop Het Volk, any of the one-day races that might be on his calendar. But BMC might want to think about having him competitive in the one-week stage races that pepper the calendar throughout the year. Maybe get some more wins, but BMC has had a lot of wins already. We're going to get to that in a moment. We're going to do wins so far in the season by teams a little bit later. Also to the good in Oman, Alexander Kristoff. If there was a sprint stage, Alexander Kristoff won. He won all the sprint stages, so 3 wins for Kristoff from the Katusha squad, and brilliant riding by Kristoff again. He should have been pressed to the line a few times at least by Tom Bonen, but the bad from Oman, this wicked crash to Tom Bonen in the finale of stage number 1 goes down hard, which has really plagued Tom Bonen recently in his Classics campaign. This one, Bonen saying that it was unfortunate he didn't get hurt, and that's quite remarkable considering how quickly he went down. You can watch it here in the finale. Big lead out, so furious. Sprinting is, in this day and age, is absolutely insane. Looking at the lead out, and oh man, wow. Got up, finished the race, cuts and bruises. Kristoff wins, but Tom Bonen going down incredibly hard. And we'll see if that affects him in the coming weeks, the Classics. And Tom Bonen's retirement, by the way, coming Paris-Roubaix this spring. So look for Tom Bonen to be at his best in the Classics, and let's hope that that crash does not affect him too exceptionally poorly in the Classics. The ugly. I've never seen anything like this. I've never seen a crash take out the peloton. I mean, it's as if, watch this. Most of the riders, including Ben Herman, get through, and then maybe 20 riders, 25 riders get through, and then it's as if somebody just drops a wall in front of the rest of the peloton. Like a crater opened up and swallowed the entire field, including Romain Bardet, who said that crash did not affect his climb to Green Mountain later on the same stage, stage number 5, but I would be surprised if it didn't have some effect. It's a little bit reminiscent of the Passage du Gois up in the northwest of France that we've seen in the Tour de France in recent editions. That just so slippery, just takes down all. No major injuries to report from that crash is the good news. Okay, on to the Tour of Algarve in Portugal, won by, a little bit surprisingly perhaps, Primoz Roglic. Roglic, stage winner of the Giro d'Italia previously, so not a complete shock. And the win comes on the results mostly of the time trial, where he was second on that stage, but was able to defend the jersey throughout the week's racing. Sprint stages, Fernando Gaviria back on top. Also Andre Greipel winning the sprint stage down there. And Dan Martin getting his first win of 2017 for the Quick Step squad. And we're going to get to their wins so far this year in a moment. The bad, motor pacing, Andre Greipel and Dan Martin taking to the Twitter sphere to remind the UCI having a new set of regulations is good, but not enforcing them, not so good. And I think that the UCI forgot to mention, you can't motor pace anybody in the peloton, which should go without saying. That should be the basics. And it doesn't, and I've looked at all of them, and you can go online and look at all of these instances. It doesn't seem like there's collusion between the motor drivers. It seems totally random, as if some of the moto drivers do not understand what a difference it makes when the racers are on the wheel of the motorbike. So Roglic taking maximum advantage of that in the time trial, and whether or not that helped him to win the race in Algarve, it's possible. But let's hope that the UCI can get a handle on it and make sure that that does not happen in the future, and everybody understands that is absolutely not allowed. On to the Volta Andalusia. Alejandro Valverde still racing great, 100th career win, and the overall GC and the stage, and a very spirited battle with Alberto Contador. They went back and forth, swapped the lead a few times, but in the end it was Valverde with the win. And I think that Valverde is going to have a great year. He seems to continue to be inspired. Tremendous team. They have great team spirit. Everybody works for Valverde. It's clear when he's racing well that he has a chance to win. That gives his teammates a tremendous amount of morale to go ahead and do the job. And Movistar is tough to beat in Spain. If you beat them in Spain, you have just done something spectacular, which does not happen very often. All right, let's take a look at race wins per team. This is going to be instructive to see who did the work in the off season and who maybe still has some work to do in the races coming up. I think that when you look at Quick Step, you see 12 wins so far. Not a big surprise. Wins from Tom Bonin, Gaviria, Dan Martin, amongst others. 12 wins already. And down at the bottom is Cannondale, 0 wins, 1 second place, 0 thirds. That's pitiful. Cannondale hasn't won a lot of races to start the year in years past, and then have come on to be much more successful throughout the year. So let's hope that they start winning races. But I mean, it's very hard. It's very tough to win races. Any pro race is a spectacular accomplishment. But you'd think that they'd have somebody that could be inspired enough to win some early season races, gets the monkey off the back, takes the pressure off the riders for the rest of the season. That's not the template that Cannondale has followed in the last couple of years, and they're trying to slowly, get the momentum going for the squad. But they've got a lot of great racers. It's a tremendous team, and it surprises me that they haven't won any races so far. But Astana, no race wins either. Or Bora, the team of Peter Sagan. So they're not alone in that, but if I was running the Cannondale squad, I would love to get some early season race wins and train accordingly, perhaps. All right, everybody. Up next, the Neutral Zone News. Alrighty, in the Neutral Zone News, well, if you thought Lance's lifetime ban meant his life, a lifetime, you'd be wrong. He was back in race action at the 24 Hours of Old Pueblo, a endurance mountain bike event in Arizona, joined by his 3 of his former teammates at the U.S. Postal cycling team, George Hincapie, who, by the way, was the consistently strongest rider on the team, and the times prove it. They time each rider from the men's relay and the women's, everybody's time, each lap, they get a time. That's why I'll never do it, because you would see my times in the middle of the night go from, let's say the average is an hour to about 2.5 hours. I'd have to take a nap out on the course. Also joined by Christian Vandevelde, Dylan Casey was also on the team. They finished 3rd. Beaten by the 9-inch males, who rode 24 laps in 24 hours. So impressive riding by that squad to win the men's 4-man relay. A wild variety of categories, so just about anything you're interested in mountain bike racing on offer at the 24 Hours of Old Pueblo. The U.S. Postal former team with Lance finished in 3rd. So a good ride by guys that are not training to be professional bike racers anymore. And great riding by George Hincapie. If his teammates were able to do what he did throughout the day's racing, they might have been a little bit more competitive. So Dylan, Christian, Lance, come on guys, let's get together. And I guess the lifetime ban applies to some events and not others, and apparently this is one of the ones that it does not apply to, which begs the question, everybody out there. And please, this will be a good test. This will be a great test. No foul language, no vitriol, no acrimony, just your opinion on lifetime ban for Lance Armstrong. Is it a good idea? Is it a bad idea? Does it apply to all events? Should it apply to this event? Should he be able to do whatever races he wants? Let me know in the comments section. But remember, be nice, please. Good news for Andy Schleck, married, jumping the broom, tying the knot, as they say. Andy Schleck, the 2010 winner of the Tour de France, getting married. He retired from cycling a couple years ago and seems to be enjoying his retirement. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, in Luxembourg he has a bike shop, which a lot of ex-professionals wind up doing, and 2 kids, if I'm not mistaken, with his partner. So congratulations to bride and groom, the Schleck family. I believe his brother, Frank, is already married and has been married for some time. So congratulations to the entire Schleck clan. Jens Kukelera from the Orica squad, wiped out by a car in training in Spain. Doesn't seem to have any long-term injuries, but I think it was his last day training in Spain before going back up to Belgium to begin his spring campaign, and could definitely affect the races in the near future for Kukelera, but hopefully he'll recuperate from that as quickly as possible, and be back to racing at his best as soon as possible. Jonathan Tiernan Locke, retiring from professional bike racing. Very complicated and dynamic career Tiernan Locke has had so far. Was racing for a continental team from England, I believe, and had some spectacular results, winning big races from a small team, which is really impressive. Joined Team Sky, but then it was found out that he had run afoul of the biological passport program of the UCI. His blood values did not correspond to what is understood as a scientifically provable set of parameters. So he was given a suspension. And the biological passport is a great tool for the UCI. It has been applied, in my opinion, very inconsistently. Tiernan Locke was fired from Team Sky because of that, which is understandable. He has had some disparaging things to say about British cycling and Team Sky in the meantime, but could not find a team that he thought was at his level of where he wanted to race, and so he's retired from the sport. And it'll be interesting to see how his relationship with cycling evolves in the future. But best of luck. I've been retired for a long time. If I knew life was going to be so sweet after racing as when I was racing, I probably would have retired a lot sooner. But if you're still enjoying your racing, keep going. That's my message to all the pros out there. Race as long as you can. All right, everybody. Next up is the Musette Musings. Next up, the Musette Musings, featuring this week Michael Barry, interviewed by the Telegraph in England about his time on Team Sky. Some pretty scintillating quotes from Michael Barry. This is one of them. I really started questioning the use of Tramadol and the sleeping pills, especially when you see the younger riders using this stuff heavily. That's pretty troubling, if you ask me. Some of the younger riders on the squad in 2011, that, even though Michael Barry doesn't name them, must be referring to Davide Apollonio, John Lee Augustine, Alex Dowsett, Rigoberto Urán, and Chris Froome. Michael Barry doesn't specify which of the younger riders exactly were doing this, but he says the younger riders, so can pretty much assume that it was some of the younger professionals on the squadron. Tramadol has been in the news a lot lately. I'm going to read to you. I didn't hear about this. I never heard of Tramadol until the last couple of years. And by the way, this is not a banned substance. It's not a banned substance on the UCI banned substance list. So you can take it at your leisure. It's a narcotic, so prescription strength pain medication to treat moderate to severe pain. This is another note. This is WebMD. High risk for addiction and dependence. Can cause respiratory distress and death when taken in high doses, and when combined with other substances, especially alcohol. And I would imagine taking sleeping pills on top of that is probably not ideal. But it's a bit troubling to me if Team Sky indiscriminately is allowing riders and prescribing this for their athletes. Theoretically, Tramadol could help you after you had a crash, especially in a stage race, to be able to stay in the race, assuming nothing is broken or any other trauma that wouldn't, besides just pain management, allow you to continue. And perhaps that's why it's not been put on the banned substance list. In 2011 also, a lot of the news just keeps getting worse for Team Sky regarding the 2011 season. If you recall, and you've been watching the Broomwagon Musette Musings, Bradley Wiggins received a package during the 2011 Dauphiné. What was in it, nobody knows. David Brailsford, in front of Parliament, has said, in my opinion, very unplausibly, that it was a decongestant. Over the counter. You can go back to some of the Broomwagons and hear my difficulty with that explanation. But Michael Barry weighing in on the doping issue and raising some more questions that perhaps Dave Brailsford will have to answer in the future. I would be surprised if Michael Barry would identify exactly who the young riders on the squad were who were using Tramadol and sleeping pills. But if he were to do so, it might shine some more light on this, and hopefully get the UCI to put Tramadol on the banned substance list. Apparently it's been used in what are called finishing bottles, which I would like everybody to comment on this. If bike racing is the sport of suffering, and your ability to manage pain and accept the suffering that staying in the front of a bike race means to everybody there, if you are allowed to take something that masks the pain, that reduces the suffering, is that cheating with drugs? Is that any different than other ways of getting around the rules in cycling, in bike racing? To me, it's impossible to differentiate between tramadol and cheating. So I'm sure that this is going to continue to play out throughout the season. If it is discovered that Dave Brailsford was encouraging the use of tramadol to his athletes, especially the younger pros on the team, I'll have to reiterate my calls for him to resign. That's unacceptable. And if one of your kids was on that squad and you found that the medical staff and the coaches and the management were providing your children with dangerous drugs to be more successful cyclists, I hope that would be a deal breaker for everybody and for the sport of cycling. And the UCI needs to act on this as soon as possible. Just put it on the list. Ban tramadol. Can't be that hard. They already got thousands of things on the list. And then get a handle on the TUEs. And then get a handle on the race caravan. So much work to do for the UCI. But I think the easiest would be to put tramadol on the banned substance list. All right, everybody. Please comment. Remember the rules of engagement in the comment section and move forward accordingly. Next up is the tweet of the week. Okie dokie, everybody. Tweet of the week coming to us from Robert Hasink, the lanky Dutchman on the Lotto Jumbo squad, dressed in yellow and black, not to be confused with the Lotto Soudal squad from Belgium in the red and white jerseys. Here's his tweet. When they take a bit of cash but leave your bike in the back, is it a lucky or a unlucky day? And you can see the photo of the smashed window of Robert Hasink's car. Very good question, and I think it begs the asking of what does a bit of cash mean? And I'm sure it means different things to different folks. I would imagine for Bill Gates, maybe $157,000 would be a bit of cash. But for the typical bike racer, that's probably $4.73 is a bit of cash. And if that's the case, definitely a lucky day. The Bianchi race bikes of the Lotto Jumbo guys, depending on how many electronic gizmos, watt meters, heart rate monitors, cameras hanging on and off the bike, worth anything from, I want to say, $12,000 to $20,000 if you added it all up in a retail scenario. So the window, if you have car insurance, should be pretty reasonable to replace that. And I'd say that's a lucky day, especially if the amount is $10 or less of cash that was lifted. And I've had a couple of bicycles stolen, and it's one of the most heartbreaking things for a professional cyclist. When your bike gets stolen, the tool you use to do your job, that you have the most intimate relationship with, is absolutely heartbreaking. It almost made me give up hope for humanity. It's been a long time since I had a bike stolen, but the two times that it has happened in the past, it's a really visceral and disturbing memory that I will never forget. So I think that would count as a lucky day for Robert Hasink, and maybe a portent of a very lucky season. He's had a lot of bad luck in his career, and hopefully the luck turns in his direction in 2017. And if that's the case, watch for Robert Hasink to fulfill his true promise as a bike racer, get on the podium of a Grand Tour. And he's certainly capable of that physically if everything goes well. So best of luck to Robert Hasink, and let's hope that no bikes get stolen ever again. All right, everybody, that's it for the Broom Wagon this week. Follow me on Facebook and Twitter. I'll give updates when to expect to see videos on BobkeTV. Comments, like I said, keep it clean, keep it nice. Believe me, in this day and age, niceness goes way further than anything else. So, especially on the internet. Be nice, everybody. Thumbs up, greatly appreciated. Click on my face to subscribe. Click on the t-shirt icon to order some merchandise if you so desire. And until next time, thanks so much for watching.